Yes, Swamiji. Kindly refer the DVD learning session regarding the engrams, recording in unconscious mind. The doubt one, is it necessary that one's conscious part of the mind closes and one becomes unconscious for recording the engrams?
Yes.
If yes, during the physical accident cases, during emotional turmoils or suppressions, pain, etc., we still remain conscious, within bracket hopefully.
No, you are not remaining conscious. If you remain conscious, you will not have the trouble. You don't remain conscious at the time of pain, emotional turmoils. If you are conscious, you will not have the pain or emotional turmoil. Why do you have emotional turmoil? You know it is wrong, even then you are not able to control. Means what? You are unconscious. That's why it is getting recorded. Next.
So that means we are not aware. Okay. Doubt 2, Swamiji. Like samskaras, can you kindly clarify karmas, there is a bad one's effect on engrams?
Karma and samskara both are not two different things, one and the same. Only two different words. They affect each other. They are one and the same. When I say the word karma, long term, samskara means short term, that's all. The files which are in the archives is karma, the files which are on your table is samskara. But both are files. Yes. Yes, yes.
Thank you, Swamiji, for this clarification. But normally karmas are, we willfully do something and we may hurt somebody or we may injure somebody willfully at that point of time because it gives some kind of a satisfaction or a pleasure. So at that time it is done with consciousness or awareness. Can this create engrams?
At that time you are aware but not conscious. If you are conscious, you will never create trouble for others. You will never enjoy that. So be very clear, that is also unconscious. You can eat non-veg only if you are unconscious. If you are conscious, you cannot put non-veg in your mouth. Automatically you will drop it. Because you cannot kill something. You cannot injure somebody if you are conscious. It can happen only if you are unconscious. Thank you.
Why can't some people reach their master? Is it fate, destiny, or not making the right effort?
Not make the right effort is the right answer. Not making the right effort is destiny. That is their fate, what to do. So all the three are one and the same. Not making right effort means their fate. And that is what is their destiny. Not making the right effort is the right word. Why they don't reach the master?
In the case of Ramana, most of the teaching was done in silence, the silent communion, and the questions were answered. So is it that in most of our cases also, if you just keep our mouth shut, the questions will get answered?
First thing, that Ramana in most things are answered in silence is wrong. If you read the intimate reminiscences, they all say that he is a great talkative guy. Only when it comes to spiritual questions, he will be silent. Because he knows answering spiritual questions is not going to work. Otherwise, he is a very talkative person. That's the first thing. Next thing, by you keep shutting your mouth will not help. You should open your mouth, then I should tell shut up, then only it will work. You should open your mouth, then I will tell shut up, only then you will have the answer and you will grow. That is the way it should be done. Directly you shutting up will not work. That will not help you to grow. You have to open, I have to tell shut up. This is the way the drama has to happen. Next. I think I'm going to answer like this. In future I will have 2 sessions. One is question answer session, social. Another one is question answer session, Zen. And I will say, see, I am going to publish 2 books. Both the books will have same questions. Your questions, your answers, you see the title of the book will be your questions answered. Subtitle is as you want. And another one book is your questions answered. Subtitle is as I want. I think we should have 2 books. Same questions, 2 answers, 2 books. As you want, as I want.
Since you mentioned that Satori is the glimpse of enlightenment, and when one isn't fully in a total enlightenment state as you are, where the body-spirit relationship is very fragile, but in lower levels of that, is it still something that is dangerous in terms of letting that person be in Satori in bliss, or is it something that needs to be taken care of?
About others, or you are asking about me?
I'm talking about others.
No. It will not. There is no danger. Even if a person gets Satori, he will not leave the body and all. It's not danger. When a real Satori happens, he will become more strong. He will be just fresh and alive. Really, when you reach that state, you will become only more responsible. This is just an atomic power station. Inside an atomic power station, what happens? 10 times more will happen inside a master's body. And still it is moving, completely balanced. Next.
In some cultures, as part of the Guru-Sishya relationship and process of enlightenment of the disciple, there are a number of physical hardship measures. Some of them may be almost like ill treatment, but which are supposed to be in the interest of the disciple. Is this something normal?
The ill treatment as such is not necessary, but when the process is done, it may look like an ill treatment for an outsider. For an outsider, not for insider. From outsider view, you cannot say. See, for an outsider view, it may look like an ill treatment, but I am not able to understand the word ill treatment. When the real guru-disciple relationship, never ill treatment happens. In guru-disciple relationship, whatever happens cannot be called with the usual word. The firing of guru can never be called with the word anger. So, love of the guru can never be understood as a lust. So, regular words can never be used in the master's language. Whatever happens between master and disciple can never be addressed with a regular social word. That's what they say, between master and disciple, whatever happens is totally different, otherworldly. So you can't even use the word ill treatment or all these words has no meaning. With the master's dictionary is totally different. We should have 2 dictionaries in the world. One is Oxford, another one is master. So Oxford dictionary cannot work for the masters.
So can you explain the concept of Diksha as it's and also Diksha leading to enlightenment?
Diksha means transmitting the experience which happened inside him to a disciple without the use of any technique. In our system, healing is the only initiation. All other things are initial level teaching. ASP or NSP, everything is a teaching. Healing is the first initiation I give for people. So in that, I straight away transmit the experience to the people without having any technique in between me and him. So healing is the only initiation. Initiation means, Diksha means transmission of the lamp. A living lamp catches or gives fire to another one lamp. A lamp catching fire from another living lamp is what I call Diksha. In our system, healing is the only Diksha I offer. Of course, Sannyas Diksha, Ashrama is offered, that is different. Acharya's initiation, that is not different. The first initiation I give is healing initiation only. Till healer's initiation, you don't receive any Diksha from me. You receive only teachings and little energy help to execute the teachings in your life, that's all. To practice the teachings in your life, that's all. Only healing is the initiation. Next. Once the Diksha is given, the assurance of enlightenment is given to you. Once the fire is put, today or tomorrow the whole has to burn. If it is 100 bag cotton or 200 bag cotton or 1000 bag cotton, once the fire is put, all the cotton has to burn. Diksha is the assurance that you will become enlightened. It may take little time based on the stuff which you have collected, your property. It may take little time, but it's a assurance once for all. You have to, you will achieve.